Welcome to the second day of our sixth annual Tri-State Apex Accelerator Mega Matchmaker. This is the continued collaboration of Apex Accelerators from Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York, bringing you a virtual matchmaking session right before the holidays. So, we realize that it's not always easy to travel in person to meet and build these connections. And so this virtual effort has been kind of paving the way to bridge some of those more geographic divides. This, started back when virtual meetings were really the only way to build those connections, and it's something that we found success in year after year. So we're very excited to start today with some remarks from our uh, colleagues at the Defense Logistics Agency, specifically the weapons support aspect of DOA. They just went through a rebrand with the name, so I'm still trying to get used to it. So forgive me for stumbling over my words there. I would like to introduce our speakers who are going to talk on providing us with some defense industrial base updates, especially from the DLA perspective. So it is my honor and privilege and pleasure to introduce Colonel Sue Steyer, who is the Director of Land Supplier Operations at DLA Weapons Support, and her deputy, Mr. Don Schultze, who serves as the Deputy Director of Land Supplier Operations. So, without further ado, I will turn it over to both of you.
All right.
Colonel, we can't hear you. There you are.
I know. It's the button. It's between the chair and the keyboard. So, hey, good morning, everyone. So thankful that for you to join us today, and thank you, Joey, as always, your graciousness and to open the door for Don and I. This is a great way to reach out to folks where we can't get out normally, and just the volume of people and persons and teams out there that we just don't get the opportunity to see. And so thanks for that. It's much appreciated. Don, did you have anything you'd like to say to start?
I'd like to say good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. And you'll hear a little bit about why we need you in this fight to support the defense industrial base and all of our customer requirements. I'm excited about these types of events because it is truly a matchmaking event. We need to know about you and your capabilities. And so, again, more to follow on that here shortly. But I'll turn it back over to you, Colonel.
All right. So as Joey stated, we've just kind of done a rebranding. We're working through some reorg pieces right now to what the organization looks like here in the near future. Basically, what we did was we took Land and Maritime in Columbus and we pulled in the Richmond team, which is aviation, and we're merging together as one team to do things efficient and effective to support the warfighter. And we're hoping that we find volumes of opportunity for you and efficiencies that we can leverage your capabilities as well. So that's who we are. Next slide. Don has the biggest hand cursor ever, right? I love it. I'm like, who is that? So this is really the leadership level here within the land portfolio, which covers 4 divisions. We manage about 911 NINs, NSNs in particular, and do about $2.3 billion in sales with a number of suppliers, around 3,000. We also do some things within our portfolio that covers our maritime partners, as well as our aviation partners. So keep that in mind. We do a lot of talking. Everyone's here located in the building for the maritime team, and then we have a direct line to the aviation team. So we have about 500 personnel that work for us on our team, mainly procurement. We do planning and quality assurance, and then we have 11 forward in our depots. Don, anything to add on that?
But to go off would be better also. But yeah, so the only thing I would add is we have a lot of experience in our organization. And as you can allude from the name Land Supplier Ops, we are the face to industry. So we really are all about you. So from a perspective of experience, I have 35 years all here at DOA. Colonel Steyer didn't introduce her background, but she specializes in the DCMA experience. And so from the contract management piece, she's an expert. We have our deputy, Bill. But from our division chief level, we have a combination of over 100 years of experience there too. Lori Archibald is an acquisition leader. Melissa, like me, is in the supply world. Elena Kirshnell is a tech quality leader. And again, from these expertise, we are working really hard to obtain the best support to our customers. We don't face the customers directly, even though we do have Ford folks there at some of the customer locations, but we interface with another part of our organization called Land Customer Ops, who really interfaces with the land customers, the Army, Marine Corps directly. So one of the things that we challenged with a bit is getting that intel on the demand and the forecast. And so one of the things we are working to improve is forecast accuracy and also making sure we can get heads up when we have a requirement so we don't go back to you in our industrial base to do expedites all at last minute perspectives. One of the things that we are significantly challenged with right now is our no quotes, which is really where about 25% of any time we have an open purchase request, which means we're sending a requirement over to our buyers to try to work with industry to get a quote. At any time, 25% of those have no quotes. So really, we're looking for additional manufacturers, additional integrators who can help us find a source to build or make these items that we make. One of the things that may be helpful to explain at this point is we are in the consumable world. We don't manage depot level reparable items or end items. We don't do service contracting. We do the piece part consumable items. And so whether it's an item that's, for example, industrial hardware related, a battery, tire, those types of things, or anytime that goes on a vehicle, those are the types of things that we're looking for anybody who can try to help us make those. So if you're the person who can help us, we'll have an opportunity at the end to hopefully set up an appointment with you to get more information. So yeah, Colonel, back to you on that.
Yeah, I think that's great. So to just talk about me, I don't want to bore you with that detail, but I do have about 15 years in acquisition as in a variety of different contracting and program management jobs. So I bring a different aperture to the team, certainly. So, and that really is it really is important, I think, and it goes for great partnering and linking into the other things that sometimes when that we think about within our aperture. So, next slide.
So, Colonel, do you want me to take it from here since you may have to head out here in a little bit?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to, say a couple of things before I pop. Don's going to talk a little bit about the challenges within our portfolio and the obsolescence of a lot of manufacturers. And he's already mentioned that with the no quote pieces. Lots of challenges. Again, we're trying to expand out there. We do realize that there's some complexities in working with the government. But there's also some really great opportunities in working with the government, not only to further your business, but also as defense looks for expansion, to that point this is an opportunity for you to expand and get into the market, but really to feel like you're part of something bigger, which is why, I stay in the Army. But I feel like I'm part of something bigger. And really what it goes down to is the national security and the pursuit of the support of our family. So as you see the vehicles on there, that's a pretty old vehicle. I have a number of old vehicles that I've traveled in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's so important to continue to support the sons and daughters, husbands and wives, mothers that are out there supporting. So we really look to you guys to help during our time of need, and then hopefully flourishing as you move on through the business. So thanks. I appreciate the opportunity, Joey. Yep. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Colonel. So a little bit about our first division I wanted to highlight. This is our industrial hardware and transparent armor division. I'll talk about the latter part here a little bit first, the transparent armor division. This is a really a bit of a niche group where we provide ballistic glass for our customers. So if you can think about transparent armor or ballistic glass, it's the several layers of laminated glass that has to all stick together without getting foggy. It's a very intensive process, very few manufacturers in here, but if you have any niches in the glass manufacturing or glass assembly area, or even metal framing, those are things that we would look for help there. But the bulk of this division is in the industrial hardware area. So as you see here on the right-hand part of the screen, we supply a lot of piece parts. So whether it's packing and gasket materials, and those are gaskets made out of various materials, not just rubber, but anything that you can think of. These are things that we're looking for: O-rings, commercial hardware, knobs and pointers, and then all types of springs: coil, flat, leaf, and wire springs. I'll touch a little bit about the commercial hardware. That's an interesting catch-all grouping of items. The nickname of that commercial hardware is the trunk of junk, because when they can't figure out where to put an item, they put it in the commercial hardware category. And so we get a lot of varied items in that commercial hardware category. You never know what you're going to get. It's like what Forrest Gump said about that box of chocolate. You never know what you get until you open up that box and take a bite. And so again, that's where we need a lot of help, is this commercial hardware, a lot of older specs and requirements where we need somebody who can really get into and make some of those items in the commercial hardware. I'll go to the next division, and that's our armaments, batteries, tires, engines, and industrial support division. And you see the major federal stock classes here. The 1000 series is really where you get into the armaments. And then that would be individual crew size, serve weapon system support, everything from the M2, M240, howitzers, grenade launchers. So again, a lot of the components. Now, we don't supply actual rifles or actual guns themselves, but the component parts of those we supply. We also do supply, believe it or not, knives, like combat knives. We supply those as well as part of the armaments commodity. The other parts there are, a lot of it are the batteries and the tires. You see the batteries on the left. We do everything from commercial batteries to military spec batteries, from vehicles, aircraft, drones, GPS, ICBM batteries, radios, night vision goggles, weapon sights, everything that you can think of that is powered by practical energy, we supply there here at DOA Weapons Support in Columbus. It is one where it is a hard commodity because a lot of it is still the older technology of the lead acid based, and not a lot of companies still want to do some of that messy work to make some of the older type of batteries. We are getting into more lithium requirements, and so again, if you have a niche either in the legacy area or in the lithium world, we can always use your help there. And we provide tires for all services, not only the ground vehicles. You can think about how many millions of tires we supply. The number one item from a sales perspective in all of Land Weapons Support Columbus is actually a battery, but we do hundreds and hundreds of thousands of tires every year as well. We also do all aviation systems, so all aircraft that uses tires, we use those as well as tire assemblies and parts to support replicables there too. We also manage engines, spare parts, and also some of the smaller engines themselves. Those are used for tactical combat vehicles mostly, but we also use engines for some of the shipboard use as well. And then the other things is this is where we have some of our other Oshkosh sole source items. We manage those within this division as well. I'll go to the third division, and that's our ground vehicle support division. We manage mostly the Federal Stock Group 25, but also 2800, 2900 series, and some of the 40, about 268,000 items here. But if you can think about everything that goes on a vehicle, in this division, everything except for batteries and tires and the transparent armor. So everything from spare parts to vehicle maintenance kits, service kits, fitted covers is a big project that we have. We also do body frame, cab structural components, power transmission, brake, steering wheel, wheel components. And then also we manage all sole source items for AM General, BAE, and then their sister organization AMZ now, and GDLS. So we manage those items. But if you can think about anything that goes on a vehicle, pretty much is managed in this division, again, except for the tires, batteries, and also transparent armor. And then the kind of a catch-all division we have is a contracting support division where we do emergency buys, we do our non-NSM buys, large purchases, some of our customer direct buys, and we do what's called a mini 1-year indefinite delivery contract program. I'll talk a little bit about that. There's a little bit of a cascading effect of long-term contracts that we pursue. The first goal is, if you don't do business with DOA, is to start doing spot buys or manual buys with us. It could be either through the automated system itself or through a manual solicitation that we're looking for you to bid on. Once you prove yourself that you can provide support in accordance with the requirements, we can enter in any type of long-term contract arrangements. A lot of the starting points are called indefinite delivery contracts, and we have an automated program that is up to $350,000 or up to the simplified acquisition threshold, or up to 1 year is kind of the no more than either of those, up to 1 year, up to 350. And what happens is, if we award a 1-year auto IDC program with you, and then every time we have a requirement, you don't have to bid on it again. You bid for something up to a year, and then we just issue delivery orders to you every time we have a requirement. There are more diverse long-term contract arrangements where we can combine NINs together, or we do portfolio of items that we do, or we do even single NIN or multi-NIN long-term contracts over 350,000, and those are more strategic or tactical types of buys that we do there. So again, this is the group that also does all of our post-award response, where they receive the customer request for expedites, and they may contact the vendor community for that. If the vendors themselves have requests or need clarification, our post-award administrators support that. And we monitor what's called on-time delivery and make sure we work with the vendor community to solve delivery, payment, or any other issues that may be on there. So again, we pride ourselves in support to the vendor community. We have a very good relationship with our vendors, and we promote the communication that helps you get paid sooner, as well as we get our parts sooner as well. And then let me pause. Joey, were there any questions in the chat so far? Because I wanted to cover land first, but I do want to cover maritime next. Any comments or questions in the chat?
Yes, so actually. So going back to the tires, you talked about that being a need. Is there also a need for like axles and frames, or is it just specifically the tires themselves?
Yeah, so that's a good point. When I mentioned tires, we currently are on a long-term contract to supply most of the tires, but the tire frames, tire axles, those are not part of the tires long-term contract. So those would be more in the area of this division where we have all the wheel components. Those are managed separately. And so yes, we're actively looking for manufacturers in this world, for sure. And so again, at the end, I'll give you my email information, and so that you can send me a note. Maybe we can set up an appointment. But go ahead, Joey.
Thank you, sir. The next two questions that I have here, a little bit more broader. And we were actually talking about this one a little bit earlier, for companies that are in data management, or IT, things of that nature, who would be a good point of contact for them to explore any opportunities from like the software side of things, data management, analysis, things of that nature?
Yeah, we have a DLA information operations branch of DLA that does the software and management portfolio. So what I can do again is if you send me an email, I'll leave my email at the end. I can refer you to the group who may be able to look at that. So there's two types of services that I kind of go two different directions. So when you send me the email, it would be helpful for you to be clear about that. If you're looking to provide general software systems that would help like behind the scenes and operate better, that's more of our information operations. But if you're looking for providing a service to do better contracting or to like a parts research area, those are in our J7 area or our acquisition portfolio. So that's a different type of service contract. If it's more just general software, that goes one direction. If it's more of you're providing a service for parts providing, that goes into another part in our acquisition area of service providers. So again, we can take your names and I can refer you to those two departments of DOA. If those are offerings that you can provide from a service, we don't contract for service contracting at all, but those are ones that they may be interested in working with you on your solutions.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. We have two other questions that are, this one should be very quick. Do you have a procurement forecast, with NAICS codes, for forecasted purchases each fiscal year?
So we don't provide that generically based on like a NAICS code. We do have a system in our DIBS program, which again, DIBS is our DOA Internet Bid Board system. That is the tool where you go in to look for any types of quotes. There is a tool in there called SRVA, which I can't remember the name of it, but it's a requirement validation program. And you could put in a specific item, like if you know of an item that DOA is looking to contract for and you want to know what the forecast is for it, you could put that in the SRVA tool within DIBS, and that can give you a forecast that way. The only caution I would say is that has to be basically at your own risk. We cannot guarantee the accuracy of it because if you understand working with our customers, their funding availability fluctuates quite a bit. And so although we can't guarantee any sales based on the SRVA forecasting tool, it can give a generic viewpoint of what we expect in the future based on the history side of it. The other thing I would say is from the SRVA tool, it is more accurate the closer you get to the time frame rather than 2-3 years out. Because again, because our system is really looking at past history, it's the more imminent the future is, as the more accurate it tends to be. Because again, things change over time. So again, Joey, what I can do is I can get a flyer about SRVA or get some information out to you, maybe to get out to the community. But again, I don't have all the specifics of that, how to get to it handy, but I can get that out to everybody afterwards.
Absolutely appreciate that, sir. And yeah, anything that you'd like to get to me, we'll get that shared along with everything else. And then also, just kind of the plug as well. You're looking from the small business side to do forecasting or research. Your Apex Accelerator can assist you in that regard. We're getting some more questions in. I want to make sure that you have time to go on to the maritime needs. So we'll pause
Yeah.
the questions for right now, and I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Okay, great. So this is our Maritime Supplier Ops Directorate. So again, that's the maritime related items that they manage. And so they are our peer or sister organization. We manage more of the land vehicle type items, and they manage more items that would go on ships and submarines, et cetera, but not exclusively. And you'll see why. Their director is Captain Matt Fauner. Deputy is Sean Cody. Sean is my counterpart. And like myself, Sean has a supply background and he has over 30 years of experience all within DOA as well. So they're a little bit larger. We have about 500 folks and they have a closer to 650 or so. And their organization is very similar in that they have their leaders as well that specialize based on their job orientation. So Kit is a supply person. Dina is a acquisition. Eric Forson is a tech person. And then Caroline Watson is also contracting as she does the shared services and the post award there as well. So let me cover a couple items or a couple categories of items that they need help with. So the first division is fluid handling and also the nuclear enterprise division. So what they have is non-powered and powered valves. They have flexible hose tubings, fittings, pipe and tubing, and as I mentioned, powered valves, but also any type of marine hardware. Here's some pictures of the types of items that they have. And this is one where, anecdotally, what I've heard from Sean is this is a huge area for no quotes because some of these are really old, hard to make items. Their demand isn't typically as dense as ours are here, so the volume of buys just aren't at the high level that we have in land. So again, we really are looking for somebody who can make potentially smaller quantities, but hard to make more intense items on that. The next division is active devices. And so this is where you get a little bit more into the electronic world, microcircuits, semiconductors, electronic assemblies, electron tubes and filters. Do we still use electron tubes, Joey? No, I'm just joking. Yeah, we still have a lot of old equipment in our weapon systems, unfortunately. So those are things that we use: connectors, antennas, fuses, circuit breakers, and resistors. And so this is where there's a lot of crossover, even though they're considered the maritime directorate. But we manage those items here in maritime, even if they go on aviation related equipment. So you see the planes here, the radar systems, all those, the ICBM, those are really universal to every type of weapon system there. And then electrical devices, and also we manage the aircraft launch and recovery equipment items there. So aircraft launch and recovery equipment are essentially the components that are used for the catapults and arresting gear on aircraft carriers. If you ever watch Top Gun and see the aircraft being caught on top of the bed of a carrier or launched from it, that is really the wiring cable, everything that goes with it is managed out of our maritime group. So those are very highly intensively managed because we can't have anything like that fail, because then you would lose equipment and lives. So again, very important items. But this is also the division that has switches, pumps, compressors, wire, cable, fire control items, test equipment, and motors as well. And then that's it for them. They also have a similar division that we have for emergency buys, post award, et cetera, but I didn't duplicate that slide here. But this is where, Joey, I would love for people to make sure that they bookmark this screen. So either take a picture now on your computer if you don't want to wait, but these are going to be available for Joey to send out to everybody. So there's no problem with sending out this pitch. But again, this is a QR code that takes you right to what I was referring to earlier. It's the DOA Internet Bid Board System. On the left-hand side, this QR code are for urgently needed items. And so we populate a list under, it's called Land and Maritime RFIs, Request for Information. And these are urgently needed parts where we know customers have active requirements and they need them right away. On the right-hand side, there is another part. If you scroll down to the part that says other DOA procurement opportunities, we put there under the access to DIBs, no bid solicitations. So when I mentioned before, we have about a quarter of our items that once we post a solicitation and that solicitation closes, we have no bids yet. This is what I'm talking about. And we actually post that for everybody to see. You just have to be able to access DIBs to be able to get to it. But you can screen to take a look at either the federal stock classes or the different categories of items that you want to look for. You can set up this to pull down the items that you made before, for example, or things that you specialize in. It's very searchable. So take a look at this. We love to hear from you that you are able to provide some of these items. And then this is kind of where I would segue to that final part. As I mentioned earlier, we need you in the fight. We need more manufacturers, more integrators, small businesses, large businesses to be in the fight to help us provide the parts that we need. So I want to give you my email address now. And Joey, if I can I put stuff in chat too?
You, sir.
Yeah, I'll just do that now. And if you want to send me an email about an opportunity that you would like to support, what helps me usually is when vendors send me an email, also provide your capability statement, which is a description or at least a link to a website that provides all the different capabilities you can provide. What are the different makes or types of items that you can support? And then again, a list of the types of equipment or capabilities you have in that capability statement. That's huge. And then obviously contact information. If I can get that, then we will set up an appointment with you to take a deeper dive into figuring out if we can set up a mutual arrangement where we can get you to bid on some of our items. Now, I can't promise a lot of activity before the holidays. We got a lot of people on leave right now, but if you can bear with us, we will get some appointments set up if you can reach out to us. And so that's all I have, Joey. If you want to go ahead and look at the remaining of the time for any questions, I did want to go ahead and at least provide my email information and that opportunity for folks to reach out to me.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. And just to reiterate, when they reach out to you in an email, would you like to see a capability statement and their best point of contact?
Yes, please.
Perfect. Okay, so some questions, and I don't know if you can speak to this one because this kind of gets into a policy standpoint, but do you see any trends with commercial off-the-shelf items or non-sensitive items, with them being sourced either domestically or from Trade Agreement Act, allied countries? And any other regulations that people should be aware of aside from cybersecurity that are coming down the pipeline?
The one area I'm familiar with because I live and breathe it a little bit more is in the battery area. I do know that there is a congressional push to have the batteries either domestically sourced or to be provided in by sources that are not enemies of the U.S. As you can imagine, a lot of the battery materials currently are provided from either China or from other countries that are not good partners with the U.S. right now. And so there is a significant push right now to develop domestic capability as well as to really push our vendor community to insource the materials involved in making batteries. So that's one I'm aware of. I'm really not aware of too much more on that area of the insourcing, but because one of the things that I'll say is because it's been so difficult to get the manufacturing to be able to provide, we've had to go to partner countries to be able to provide some of the items that we just don't have that U.S. manufacturing capability. If we can build that U.S. manufacturing capability again, and it's a little bit of a catch-22, right? Is unless you start restricting things to the U.S., you may not build the manufacturing capability, but we can't afford to restrict it to the U.S. right now because we don't have it. So again, I do see in the future more congressional look on this, but right now I'm not aware of anything else that's coming down the road on from a policy perspective.
Yes, sir. Um, so this kind of gets into the realm of like transportation carriers. Do you work? I guess the best question is, what do those opportunities look like? Are they through, prime contractors like Crowley? Is it through a GSA schedule? Is it just posted on Dibs? If somebody was in that space, what would that look like?
Yeah, our DOA distribution partner manages the distribution service contracts. And so again, if you send me an email that says you want to provide transportation services, I can refer you to that. What happens is we have a program called First Destination Transportation. And with that is when a vendor manufactures the item and it's ready for pickup, then we arrange for the transportation. So again, we will contract to various transportation services, and I think we do have a major contract. And don't quote me if it's Crowley or who it is, but again, they were always looking for additional partners to work with to transport our material around the United States for sure. And then we do use FedEx, UPS, and other type of systems as well for small parcel. But we are constantly looking for more carriers. So again, if you have a capability, send me that email and I'll get you over to our DOA transportation arm of DOA distribution.
Yes, sir. You've talked about the urgent needs items. You've talked about the no bid list. How about the more common items? Where do you guys post solicitations? Is it on SAM? Is it in Dibs? Is it both, or is it someplace else entirely?
Yeah, so we post all of our solicitations on Dibs is where we do that. So again, if you actually go to this link here, one of the QR codes showing, you can get to our Dibs board. And one of the things that I probably should have mentioned is we do over 90% of our awards through our automated Dibs system. So what happens is when we generate a requirement, we post it through our automated DIBS system first. We typically will have 10 days where vendors can review the solicitation and post it. And then if there is a valid quote that meets the form fit function, meets all the specifications of the solicitation, then we will make an automated award without any humans looking at it. If the price is reasonable, if we have confidence in the manufacturing, past history, et cetera, we will make an award that way. We actually process over 350,000 awards a year within just the DOA weapons support area, which is about 1,000 awards a day. And again, there's no way we could do it through human touch. Now, if a solicitation goes through that process and we get no quotes, it's the no quotes we talk about, it will then kick out to a buyer, and then the buyer will manually contact folks to try to bid on it. And again, that's where you would come in there as well. Is a lot of times when it's the first time you are bidding on an item, since you don't have the past history, it'll be flagged. So we would work with a buyer with you to be able to enable you to quote. But to answer the question, Joey, we post our bids to the DIB system. Now, we do have large requirements that we post via SAM as well. But again, 99% of our requirements are posted in DIBs.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, sir. I know we are right at time here, so we will pause the questions. And I just want to thank you and Colonel Steyer once again on behalf of the Tri-State Apex Accelerator Mega Matchmaker and all of our attendees here today. Really appreciate your time and sharing these updates with all of us. So thank you, sir. I cannot say that enough. And thank you to everybody joining us this morning.